Pull up a chair, everyone. Welcome back. This is The Angry Chicken, episode 50. I'm Garrett Weinzerl, and I'm joined, as always, by Willie Dills Gregory and Miss Jocelyn Moffat. Gentlemen.
Hello.
Gentleman. Lady.
Gentleman and gentlewoman.
Gentlewoman, welcome back. It's another show. We've been doing this thing for 50 weeks.
That's crazy.
And since last week was the 1 year, that means we've missed only, 2 weeks in a year of recording?
That's pretty nuts, too.
I'm pretty proud of that.
This consistent.
Yeah, I'm proud of that. That's good. It's not too shabby.
And I mean, I think that's one of the keys to a successful podcast is, you keep showing up every week. You keep trudging along. People get to know you and get to expect it. It's good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's a good point. All the people asking, hey, what advice would you give for a podcast? That is a very good piece of advice. Be consistent. Even you don't have to do it every week, but
sure.
But announce at the beginning, hey, this is going to be bi-weekly, and stick to it.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're into that sort of thing, you can go bi-weekly, I mean... But
no judgment.
That was low-hanging fruit.
In the city. But no, I always tell this to people because, I work at a podcast company, and people will sometimes write me that my job is to kind of interact with the community, and they'll write me and they'll be like, how do I get famous? And I'm like, well, you have to do a podcast every week or every whatever it is without fail and wait for it to happen. That's pretty much how it works.
I like the idea that podcast equals fame. Like that even someone connects those two things. It's just like, well, first of all, you're in the wrong business. Secondly, yeah. A
lot of people get famous and then podcast, but it's not often the other way around.
No, not really. No. We get like our one day at Nerdtacular where people are like, oh, hey, you're the dude from the thing, and we're like, yeah. And then every other day, I'm getting flat tires and eating hot dogs like a normal dude, so.
Walking down the street, no one cares. You're like, people, come on, can't I cut to the front of the line?
Don't you know who I am?
Weinzerl. Yeah, I hope that's actually what you do.
Yes, it is. I just get into a fit of rage because I'm like, don't you understand that I do a show about an incredibly niche interest? Come on, let's do this thing.
Although, I get it a little extra here because of game night, which actually does make me feel like a tiny smidgen. Like some people here actually know who I am, and that's year round. So that's kind of nice. You just need a game night in Florida there, Garrett.
Well, it wouldn't really matter because it's Florida, so most of the denizens don't know who anyone is any of the time because they're just old and decrepit.
Are you the naked guy who went into the McDonald's at one time? Or are you the guy who smeared stuff all over his face and did the one thing? I don't know you then. I don't know you. You're the only Florida man I know.
Jocelyn, how are you doing this week?
I'm pretty fantastic. Had a great weekend. Watched a lot of Hearthstone.
Yeah, there was a lot of Hearthstone to watch. Some really good games. What people missed out on completely, though, was the epic game of StarCraft between none other than GIS Gamer and Saint. Which, if you're not aware of who those two pro players are, well, they're not. They're me and Jocelyn.
Oh, come on. I took a base.
You did take a base. I was impressed. I'm like, oh, damn, she's got a big army. I wasn't expecting this.
That's probably better than I would do. I don't think I could even... I would probably still be in there trying to figure out, did I upgrade these guys or can I attack with these guys? And then Garrett would be killing me. So
yeah,
you should be
I remembered the first 2 minutes of my build, and then I was just like, okay, that's it. Oh my god, I need more than one barracks. Oh, it's over.
Oh, nice. We should have streamed that.
We should have. Yeah.
Did the world a disservice.
StarCraft is all jazz, you don't got to have a build. You just go in there and do whatever.
Yeah, that doesn't work against Garrett.
No one ever.
Anyways, so we're as of this Thursday, we'll be 2 weeks away from, or as of this Friday, we'll be 2 weeks away from BlizzCon, and it is very noticeable if you're going out there and you're reading up about Hearthstone. Unless you're following the esports scene, there ain't jack going on. So we looked at today's show and we looked at the outline and we're like, you know what? We've got some extra time. We should do something different. So we figured
experiments are happening.
Yes, experiments are happening. So what we're going to try today, before we get into news and the rest of this stuff, is we're going to try just arena drafting. And I'm going to start up an arena run. We're going to pick a class. We're going to build a deck, and we're going to sit here and talk about our picks and explain it. And hopefully this won't go as obscenely long as I think it might go.
I'll be fine. I pick my decks in under 2 minutes generally, so. We can do
Okay.
this in under 20, I think.
All right. And we're going to do our very best to be as verbal about our picks as possible and not just point at things and go, that one, so that the podcast audience knows what we're talking about.
The one that doesn't suck. That's the one.
Yes, exactly. So let's do it, guys. Let's start this up. And by the way, new thing, so send your feedback. I want to know what y'all think of this, tacpodcast@gmail.com. I opted to go soundless this time because I figure it might be kind of weird for the audio only, but let's see what heroes we get. All right, guys, so we want to go warlock, we want to go warrior, or do we want to go shaman?
Shaman.
Jocelyn, no reasoning behind it, just shaman. Shaman's the thing.
Shaman's number 2 on Heart Stats.
My vote.
Shaman.
I love that. It's just like, I have statistics.
Good point.
Whereas I'm going to
have
go
a point.
shaman because I am me, and I don't need a reason. I just want
Well,
to play
and I kind of
shaman.
want to see Garrett play Shaman too.
wanna play Shaman,
and I
but-
know you're not going to play tonight, but still.
No, we're building. We're going to talk about our card choices. Dills, what about you?
But you got to come back and let us know how this deck does.
Exactly.
Yeah, 'cause we need to know. The people must know. I would actually pick warlock here if I was just picking just to try to win the most games I could.
Okay.
And the reason being is that I think warlock has gotten incredibly strong recently. There's a lot of these Nax cards curve out really well, and with warlock, what you can do is you can ignore all card draw picks because you don't need it. You have your hero power.
Okay.
And you can technically just pick the strongest body out of the 3, and then you're good to go. But Shaman would be kind of my second pick. With Warrior, you essentially need a deck with a lot of weapons to do well.
Right.
And sometimes that just doesn't
Which
happen.
after Naxxramas, there are even more good ones thanks to Death's Bite being added, so you have even better chance of getting some good weapons. But
yeah.
But all right, I think we'll go with Shaman because democracy shall prevail.
Sure.
Yes.
The 3. And Shaman would be a fine pick with me. The first time I ever went 9 wins was a Shaman.
Yep.
So, special place in my heart for
All
the
right.
Shaman.
So our first group of 3 cards, we've got a Mana Addict, a Light Warden, and a Lava Burst. Three rare quality cards. 2 minions.
Yeah, you always
one
start with a
spell.
rare,
Yep.
essentially. People who don't know.
Okay. So do we want to? What are we thinking here? I gravitate towards the Lava Burst because there's no substitute for just killing fools in Arena.
That would be my pick.
Yeah, Lava Burst I think is an easy pick out of these 3. Lava Burst kills Yetis. You see Yetis all the time.
Yeah.
And a lot of times a 5 damage spell is hard to come by. The Mana Addict is generally a bad card because it gets buffed and then the buff goes away. If it was a buff that stuck, it would be pretty decent.
Exactly. And Light
Again,
Warden
you don't know
is
how many
just
spells you're gonna get.
yeah, and Light Warden is just kind of bad with Shaman. I mean, yeah, you might get your healing totem out and then you would get some value out of it, but that's a big might.
Yeah, you got a 25% chance, or 50-50 chance to get the healing totem, and then it has to live long enough. In Priest, you can get pretty sick with a Light Warden, but
Not a 50-50 chance, but yeah, okay. All right. So we're going with Lava Burst for our first pick. So
Yes.
our second pick, we've got a Jungle Panther, a Murloc, Tidehunter, and a Silverback Patriarch. Which I just want to go for the Patriarch because I know how much Dills hates it.
it's a pretty bad card. I want to hear what Jocelyn thinks here.
I don't know. I vote not Murloc.
You know, not Murloc. So
Not
that
Murloc.
that
Well,
leaves
I
us
think
with the
we've
Jungle
now
Panther.
eliminated.
Yeah, we've eliminated 2 as opposed to picking 1.
Jungle Panther has good stats. I like it. It's 3 mana, 4 attack, 2 health, and it has stealth.
Jungle Panther generally trades favorably because you can throw it out and it'll live a turn. You do have to be a little bit careful when you're playing against Paladins because of Consecrate. You have to be a little bit careful when you're playing. You got to just pay attention to what turn you're playing it on. But usually you can play it on turn 3 and then deal with the turn 4 card pretty well with that. And also the Tidehunter, the Murloc. That's not. Is that a Tidehunter? It's all broken up.
Yeah, it's a Tidehunter.
Yeah.
It's
Sorry, so the Murloc guy is essentially a 3/2 worth of stats, but they're split up, which means like mages and rogues can kill the good part of the
Yeah.
body, and then you're left with a 1/1.
yeah, exactly. I usually like split stats, but not when they have 1 health.
Yeah. But Jungle Panther's fine. It's not a card that excites me, but 3-drops are not the greatest spot anyway.
Yeah.
And so having a decent one is pretty
Yeah,
good.
that was a rough selection. So this one looking better. We have a lightning bolt, forked lightning, or dragonling mechanic. I would just snap pick lightning bolt in this scenario.
Yeah.
Between these three, it's 3 damage removal. Love it.
I agree with that too. The Dragonling mechanic is okay, but it's Yeti stats. But again, you split it up, and it makes it so that half of the card can be killed fairly easily. You can do okay with Forked Lightning, but it overloads for 2. So it's essentially a cleave that costs 1 more mana in the long run, and
Exactly.
for that reason, I don't really like it. Overloading for 1 and doing 3 damage, it's great. On turn 1, you can kill a 2-drop or whatever, and it's good to go.
Take care
Or
of
an
those
Undertaker.
Undertakers. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Jocelyn is in my brain.
On. Yeah.
We
In it.
spent too much time together this weekend, man.
We did.
Although on turn 1, I prefer to use a Rockbiter weapon if I can, so I don't overload into turn 2
right,
if I
so-
have the option.
They're just throwing Murloc Tidehunters at us because that's back. We've also got a War Golem and a Dire Wolf Alpha.
Well, you're a shaman, so I think the Dire Wolf Alpha is the easy pick here.
Yeah, get extra value out of your totems.
Yeah, you can buff your totems up and attack with them. The 7/7 for 7, it's fine, but it dies to Big Game Hunter, and I prefer, like, an Ogre is 1 less attack, but the same amount of health for 1 less mana. It just seems it's a bad deal.
Easier to
essentially.
play. Easier to play. Jocelyn, you agree?
Same, yep.
Okay. Direwolf Alpha it is. Next is the Thrallmar Farseer, Chillwind Yeti, Dancing Swords. Snap pick on Mr. Yeti?
Yes.
Yep.
Alrighty.
This one's really easy. The reason, so a lot of people are going to look at this Thrallmar Farseer. We should explain the Thrallmar Farseer. They're going to say, dude, it's got Wind Fury, man. That's got to be so good. But it dies to just about everything. And unlike, say, it's not like, and here comes the angry emails. It's not like something like Double Strike or whatever in Magic. It doesn't work that way. You don't get to hit the first time for free.
No.
You get to.
You're taking the damage
hit
every
full
time you
times for
hit.
full damage, yeah.
Yeah. Which
So,
is great if you're going to face because it doesn't matter. But if you're using this guy to trade for minions, he doesn't have enough health to really make it that enticing.
Yeah, and sometimes you can do some cool stuff if you do something like a Rockbiter weapon on him or put a Flame Tongue Totem next to him. But unless it's up against 2 terrible cards, you're not going to pick it.
Yeah.
The Yeti is just all around good, and Dancing Swords is okay, but giving cards to your opponent is generally not.
Yeah, I would only go for Dancing Swords if we're in the tail end of our draft and it's looking like I have a very aggressive deck.
Yeah, an aggressive deck, or if you have no 3-drops at all, and you just, because you could trade pretty well on turn 3 with it, but you have to go 2 for 1 to get 2 for 2, and that's essentially why it sucks.
Well, Mr. Yeti, welcome to my deck. All right. Ooh, decisions: Hex, Stormforged Axe, or Lightning Bolt. Actually, I'm not sure if this is a decision. Jocelyn, come on, what are you thinking?
I would say Hex. Only because it's arena and you have no idea what you're going to see.
I would
So
go.
it's good to deal with everything.
I would click on Hex so fast I would snap my left click button off.
Yeah, I'd click on it fast, but I would be sad that I didn't get a Stormforged Axe or Lightning.
Yeah, that was the only thing that was causing me to pause a bit there. Is I was like, weapon.
But a Hex is just too damn good.
Yeah, and we
Yeah.
already have 1 Lightning Bolt chilling in our deck, and we're only
You
on.
see so many
pick
things
6.
like Boulder Fist Ogres. You see, and you will see, especially when you start to get to 9+ wins, you will start to see legendaries and stuff. So Hex is just an all-around good card.
Right, and looks like we lucked out because next turn we've got Windspeaker, Totemic Might, and another Stormforged Axe. So Windspeaker 3/3 for 4 that gives another friendly minion Wind Fury. He can't give himself Wind Fury. I'm not a huge fan of it. Totemic Might, just die in a fire.
Yeah, Totemic Might is
So harsh.
terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah. No, had we done proper gradings for all of the original cards, Totemic Might would have been stamped with an F by me. It's very, very
Now,
hard.
If Blizzard decides to give us some really awesome totems in the future, maybe this card could have a renaissance at some point where you do want to do stuff like that. But in its current state of the game, it's just a garbage card that you never want to pick. And the Windspeaker guy can be okay if it's up against terrible cards, but he loses a lot of stats to do the Wind Fury. And so, yeah, it's just, sometimes it can be amazing. But, yeah, Stormforged Axe, that's a 3
more
durability
consistent.
weapon. Yeah.
Yep. Done and done. Taking that axe. All right, now we've got a Cult Master, an Iron Fur Grizzly, and a Reincarnate. This is our first next Rammus card making its appearance.
Well, we had the Dancing Swords, but
Oh, you're right. Sorry, I lied unintentionally.
Garrett lied. This is an easy Cult Master pick for me. Cult Master is it's like a card that's terrible and constructed and good in Arena.
Yep.
The games are slower, and oftentimes you want to trade anyway, and to be able to trade, and it's like as if you're not ever dying when you're dying. You're just replacing every card that you trade off the board, And a lot of times I can draw 4 or 5 cards with this thing and just win the game.
Agreed. It reincarnate again, something I might consider later on in the draft sequence, but we're on pick 8 at the moment, and we have nothing that we would actually get any value off of reincarnating. So
no, you need something like a Cairn already or something.
Yeah.
Or sorry, a Corn or a Karn. Watching Artosis.
Oh,
Castle.
I want an Artosis dictionary because I love the way he pronounces things. Yeah. All right, I think we're just
Kern here.
Gonna snap pick that Cult Master. So next one we got Ancient Brewmaster, which I always love, Acolyte of Pain, which I always love, and Adventure Code Mercenary, which I generally avoid. Jocelyn, what would you pick here?
How much card draw do we have right now?
We have none.
We have Cult Master.
We have a Cult.
Yeah. We have Cult Master. Yeah,
we do have a Cult Master. Oh, you're right. You're right. Sorry.
I think I'd still pick the Acolyte just to be safe, because then you know that you have 2 things that'll help draw you cards, and you don't really have to worry about it again for the rest of the draft. I think I'd go with Acolyte.
I like that thinking.
I go Ventrico all day, every day on this pick.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I know, I understand that he has the 3 mana thing, but he's just such a threat, and the only class you really get scared playing the Mercenary against is Paladin, because if he knocks it down to a 1 attack, then it sucks. But yeah, he's just so good. I would actually pick Merc first, Panda second, and Acolyte third in this set.
All right.
Yeah, I think the Panda's really good too.
I'll give this one. I'll give this one to you, Dills. We'll go the Ventrico.
Yeah, he's. I mean, right now we don't have any really big threats, and he's like a threat. You can just win games outright.
That's a good point. All right, another selection of rares. We've got Ancient Watcher, Cold Light Seer, and Crazed Alchemist. Who I love Crazed Alchemist in Marina, man.
Yeah, I mean, it can be okay. The thing is, I would avoid it in most cases. It's fun, and it oftentimes lets you trade in good ways. But I wish there was something better, but there's not. So
yeah, this is a rough pick. All 3 of these are kind of sneaky.
Yeah, you can't take a Watcher without a Silence or a Defender or a Sun Fury or something. Yeah. There's no activators in our deck, so you cannot take it.
Yep.
And obviously you can't take the Murloc because he sucks.
Obviously.
I was about to ask Jocelyn if she was going to defend the Murloc, but
no.
All right.
That's the one thing I will never defend is the Murlocs.
Yeah. So this is going to be one of our weaker cards, but I mean, if we go up against another Shaman, we can kill his totems. There's some other practical uses there. So.
Yep. Some other rough picks here. Our next pick is Dalaran Mage, Forked Lightning, or another Thrallmar Farseer.
I think Forked Lightning.
I think Mage.
Really, for me, it'd be a toss-up between the Lightning and the Farseer.
Well, fine.
I would avoid the Mage with like every ounce of my core.
It's one attack on turn 3, and it only gets worse to play after turn 3. I don't like Dalaran Mage.
It's not the worst. I mean, it gets a pretty bad rap, but we don't have. I don't think we have. If we had a really spell-heavy deck, we might. But also, we're a Shaman, and we can roll spell power totems. So
true. How many spells do we have?
At the moment, well, that do damage is Lightning Bolt and Lava Burst. We have a Hex.
Oh, I thought we had more than that. Okay.
Hex is not a damage-dealing spell. So.
Yeah, and a Forked at some point, sometimes you get into these top decking wars, and you could top deck this and kill 2 minions and suddenly be fine. You have to be a little careful when you're going to use this though, because it does have that double overload. So. You do roll a spell power totem though, and it's sick. It's
So since I'm torn between the 2, and Dill says Forked Lightning, Jocelyn, between the Farseer and the Forked Lightning, which would you go with?
No, I'd go with Forked Lightning.
Right.
I think, yeah.
All right,
Farseer, no, for all the reasons we said earlier.
Yeah.
If we have something else, pick something else.
Okay. Now here we've got a Bloodlust, an Unbound Elemental, and a Leper Gnome. Since we just took a Forked Lightning, I want to go for the Unbound Elemental because we're getting a decent amount of overload cards in here now, and that +1/+1 every time you play an overload, it just gives this guy so much value.
Yeah, it's sometimes you get these and you just have no overload yet, and it's just you're taking a flyer. In this case, we have 3 overload cards really early on, so it's a pretty easy pick. Bloodlust is actually okay; it gets a bad rap too, but a lot of times in Arena. You will get board states where you have a lot of crap on your side, and Bloodlust can win you the game.
Yeah, there are those games where you're just like, wow, they didn't have any board clears, and I have all 4 totems out now, and I could just end the game right now if I had Bloodlust.
Yeah, because you can oftentimes in Arena 2, like you'll just keep popping totems out every single turn, and suddenly you can get value out of all of them.
Yeah.
And Leopard Gnome's not terrible because I like playing one drops. If you
I
can
always
play a
love the leopard
one,
gnome.
if you can play a one and then a two and then a three and then a four, like you just don't often lose. So I don't mind having a couple one drops. This is one of the okay ones, but in this case, I think we have to take Unbound.
Oh yeah, yeah. Even if you don't have Overload, 2/4 for 3, it's not bad.
No, that's fine.
It does some work. We've got another Ancient Brewmaster coming up, as well as a Dark Scale Healer and an Ancestral Healing. I think I go for the Brewmaster here. Jocelyn?
Yeah, that's my choice.
I'm okay with Brewmaster or Dark Scale Healer. We don't quite have enough minions that would probably stay alive through a few attacks yet to make Dark Scale Healer have true value. But a lot of times you can attack a few things, Dark Scale heal up your entire board, and then keep trading. So it's actually okay. But in this case, I think we do want the Panda.
We also have the chance of a healing totem, so Dark Scale Healer is slightly less...
not as good.
Yeah. So, all right. Brewmaster
yeah,
it is.
The other thing, too, is let's say that our Merc does get follow the rules, and suddenly his attack goes down to 1. We could potentially pull him back and then save that. It's possible. It would cost us 7 mana to do it, but whatever.
Yeah. I don't like this pick. We've got a South Sea Deckhand, another Forked Lightning. They're throwing those things down our throat, and another Ancestral Healing.
Well, we only have one weapon.
Right.
So I don't really like Deckhand with only one weapon. It's
also
good when you have a lot or in a rogue deck.
Yeah. Also looking at our curve too, though, we're almost hitting the halfway point. We're still pretty low on like early game minions.
Mm-hmm.
We are, but I don't think this is the one that we want. You know, I would much rather have a Worgen or like the Leopard Gnome from before, or an Undertaker. Even we don't have Death Rattle either, but whatever. Those would be better, I think, in this case than this guy.
So take another Forked.
Yeah.
All right, another Forked
I
it
think
is.
so. We're not super excited to fill our deck up with Forked Lightnings, but
all right, we've got a Cobalt Geomancer.
Fork it, take the Forked Lightning.
A Flame Tongue, a Flame Tongue Totem, and a Bloodlust.
Flame Tongue.
Flame Tongue.
Yeah, that's an easy pick.
Yeah, 2 attack to adjacent minions. It's wonderful. You gotta love it.
It's like a perfect card for Shaman, and if it was in any other deck, if it was any other class card that did this, it would be nowhere near as good as it is with Shaman.
Yeah,
and it's amazing. Yeah.
So we've got a Dark Scale Healer now, a Frost Shock, or a Murloc Raider. My Murloc Raider is obviously the pick here, right? I mean, 2-1 for 1? Come on.
No.
I don't think we can be friends anymore.
No. Yeah. This is a Dark Scale Healer, easy. The Frost Shock doesn't do enough for what it is. It's just essentially 1 damage for 1 mana. The freezing effect is not actually that good. People sometimes look at it and they're like, but it freezes. It's like, okay, whatever. It freezes for 1 turn and the freeze goes away. And it's not... It's just... It doesn't do enough for what it is. No. Earth Shock, yeah. Earth Shock's good. No, not Frost Shock.
Not Frost Shock. So Dark Scale Healer is the clear favorite here.
Yes.
So Dark Scale Healer it is. Now we're looking at a Wind Fury, a Storm Pike Commando, and a Bloodlust making an appearance again.
Is that number 4?
That's number 3, I think, on Bloodlust.
Number 3, I think? Yeah.
Yeah.
And they really want us to take one, apparently. I still don't feel like we quite have the deck to do it, though.
No, but I don't like getting a lot of 5-drops personally, and I'm not sure if I want to take a Storm Pike Commando. I like the two targeted damage when he enters the battlefield, but then he's got this 2 health. It's just so easy to deal with.
Yeah, but he's one of those guys. He gets. I really like him because he gets 2-for-1s. So I think Storm Pike Commando is a good choice here. Again, Bloodlust here. Maybe it does something amazing later on, but I just like to get cards that I know are going to be steady no matter what. And there's a lot of situations where doing 2 extra damage is pretty sweet.
Right.
So I go Storm Pike every time here.
Okay. Next is another Stormforged Axe, another Lightning Bolt, or, guys, one of the best cards in the game, the Magma Rager. Come on, guys, you're spending 3 mana. You're getting 5 attack, a whole 5 attack. And what health?
Yeah, but 5 attack, man. Come on, that's amazing for 3 mana. This is actually kind of a tough pick because I like having another Stormforged Axe, because sometimes if you only have 1, you're not going to get it, right?
Yep.
Having 2 kind of sucks because they have 3 durability, so they last a while.
I'm really never unhappy to have 2 lightning bolts though. So
no, but the thing is I feel like you just there's too much value in that axe. You know, it's yes, the lightning bolt gets 3 damage. You can go face, but I think you just have to take the axe here.
Okay, all right. Jocelyn, any thoughts?
Neither one's terrible though.
I could go either way. They both overload, so that pairs well. Yeah, I think lightning bolts are so good
It's
though.
a tough pick. It's a tough. I mean, we've got 2 fork lightnings, so I think I might go Stormforged axe.
Yeah, but you can direct the lightning bolt.
This is true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly,
Like
I'm not
Dill's-
mad at either pick, but I think the axe is just.
Yeah, I agree with Dills that really neither.
I guess
is
that's
bad,
allowed.
But yeah, I'll go. All right, Stormforged axe it is. Next is Rockbiter
I mean,
weapon.
that's our last one, though, because you definitely don't want 3.
All right, Rockbiter weapon, Bloodlust number 4, or Voodoo Doctor.
Rockbiter.
I would Rockbiter so fast on this. Okay, all right, not even going to talk about it. Would love that 3 attack on whatever we want it to be on. All right, more rares in the house. We've got a Death Lord, a Manatide Totem, or an Alarmobot.
Wow. Where are the fire elementals, by the way?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, we got an axe, we got a bolt, we got a hex. We can't get greedy and ask for the fire elemental too.
Yeah, but they're commons, man. They're supposed to get like 6 of them. Yeah, I think this is Manatide Totem. The Death Lord can be okay, but then when it dies, it's just the penalty is just so bad.
Yeah, I'm much more apt to take a Death Lord with a priest deck, a little less with Shaman. I would go for the Manatide here as well, especially since we skipped over that Acolyte of Pain much earlier.
That was going to be my point.
Yeah, this is actually our second card that does any card draw at all. So.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Manatide
if
it
you
is.
can get it protected and it gets a couple turns in, you are looking real good.
Oh, I couldn't be happier about all the overload in our deck now, guys, because another Unbound Elemental has come up.
Perfect.
It's also against an Ironbeak Owl and an Unstable Ghoul.
Yeah, but those cards kind of suck, so definitely take the Unbound Elemental. I want to point something out at this point. This is the point of the draft where you really know what kind of direction you're going. And I'm thinking that if we see another Bloodlust, we're snap grabbing it, because we do have a really low curve at this point.
If we see Bloodlust
no
number
late game.
5,
Yeah, we have actually no late game. We have no cards over 5 mana. So
all right.
If we do see another Bloodlust, I think we're gonna just grab that thing up, and
Okay.
we're essentially gonna control the board. And we're gonna have a lot of crappy little minions, and that's the way I see a lot of our games going.
Cool.
It's gonna be an army of weenies at this point.
Well, we've got two Unbounds now. Now we have to pick between a Wind Fury, another Lightning Bolt, or a Dragonling Mechanic. Lightning Bolt. We've got 2 Unbounds.
Yeah,
Yep.
Lightning Bolt.
Yep. All right.
Although, dude, I am starting to feel the lack of minions, and so we need to start paying attention to that.
Well, hopefully our next 8 picks will just be Unbound Elementals.
Or just fire elementals. We just get fire elementals. I'd be cool with that.
All
too.
right, we've got an Ancestral Healing, a Ventureco Mercenary, or an Iron Beak Owl.
I go Ventureco again all day because
Really?
again, we don't have enough threats in this deck, like minion threats.
Okay.
And because we have so many spells, that
We'll
penalty
probably
is not
live.
that bad.
Yeah, that's a good point. And we'll make it to turn 5 with life to spare, probably.
Oh yeah.
So we'll be controlling the board. I like that. Jocelyn, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, I love the owl as much as anyone else, but Dill speaks logic.
Yeah, I mean an owl is okay, but I'd prefer a spellbreaker over an owl if I want silence. And I'd actually prefer an Earthshock over both of those if I want silence.
But if we don't pull anything at all, like what if this is our last chance at silence? Like, are you cool with having a deck
that's
with no
fine.
silence?
Yeah, a lot of times, like people make a big deal about I need to have some taunt, some silence, some whatever. You don't really have to make an all-around balanced deck in Arena. You just have to make a deck where the cards work together. Whatever it does as well as you can.
We
make
have a
it.
lot of removal too, and a hex. You don't need a silence when you have a hex.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I forgot about that hex.
So
Yeah.
Ventureco Mercenary it
We're gonna kill everything. We're not gonna silence it.
We got another Rockbiter weapon popping up next to an Oasis Snapjaw and Raid Leader, 2 of Dill's favorites.
You have to pick Raid Leader. Come
Absolutely, I just have to. I have to troll pick it.
We never pick Raid Leader. Just never do it. I actually am going to point out something kind of funny though here. We we wouldn't do too bad with the turtle here. He does have turtle power, and he also could go next to a flame tongue totem and do work. And we also have 2 weapons, 2 lightning bolts, 2 forked lightnings, friggin' what's the other one? Lava burst. Like, we have so much removal. I don't know if what we need is more removal. I think we might need bodies on the board, and that's a body that sticks.
Yeah.
So I would lean probably towards turtle power here.
Jocelyn?
And he's a hero and a half shell, so.
If you
Yeah,
if you agree with Dills, state your favorite Ninja Turtle.
God, I haven't watched Ninja Turtles in forever, so I guess I'm gonna have to go with Rockbiter.
Well, all right. Well,
name a turtle.
well, democracy prevails. Donatello, a waste of Snapjaw worth taking. All right.
It's clearly Michelangelo, though, for everybody else.
Well, see, and this is the problem: is I can remember all their names, and I can't remember which one is which, and I don't want to say the wrong one because Garrett will never let me live it down.
Once
So
you don't say Raphael, you're cool, okay?
that was the first one that came into my mind, and I'm like, nope.
Raphael's my second favorite.
As long as you don't take Raphael, you're good to go.
All right. We've got the Booty Bay Bodyguard, the Harvest Golem, and the Young Dragon Hawk. 2-3 for 3, which gives a 2-1 after it dies. I think the Harvest Golem is the clear pick here, especially looking at our how many spells we have in the early drops. We need some more minions.
I want to point something out, too, to people who are listening or watching and who maybe don't do much arena. A lot of people will pick Booty Bay Bodyguard because they're like, oh my god, taunt! I need taunt. This guy's so good. He's got taunt. He's got 5 attack, but the problem is he basically dies to everything. So he always trades down, essentially. Like, a lot of minions with 4 attack that cost less than 5 will kill it, and then you basically lost tempo, essentially. So you spent 5 mana, they spent 3 mana or something, and then they killed it. You kind of want to avoid that situation. So you definitely want to take a Harvest Golem here. And then the other thing, too, is the Dragonhawk. People are going to go, Wind Fury! Like, but these are not effective.
It's a 1-1.
Yeah. It's
so bad.
You definitely, I just want to point out for people who are like newer to the game and haven't learned how to assess cards necessarily that that's a trap card. It's going to make you think it's good. Something like a Fin Creeper, which is a 3/6, is way better than a Booty Bay Bodyguard.
I hate seeing Fin Creepers in my arena games, man. It's just like,
they stopped the world, man.
They were the Sludge Belcher before the Sludge Belcher.
This is very true. Yeah, very true.
Harvest Golem is going right in there. I'd be very happy to put that in my 3-drop slot. We got Ancestral Healing, another Hax, and a Gurubashi Berserker.
How many picks do we have left?
We are on 25 out of 30, so this is number 26. We have 5 more picks, including this one.
I don't think we need a Gurubashi. It's not, if we're a mage deck, we like Gurubashi a lot, but we're not.
Yeah, I think we take the Hex here. It's just too good of a card not to take. Jocelyn, do you have any reason why we should not take the frog? Speak now or forever.
No, I have no reason whatsoever.
Okay.
Go frogs, go.
Ribbit. All right.
Oh
snap!
my God.
Legendaries! And one of them is the class legendary. We've got Stalag, who I believe we gave an F to in Arena in our ratings. Alakir the Windlord, and we do have a Rockbiter weapon and a Flame Tongue Totem in this deck. Or someone we're going to talk a lot about on the rest of this episode, Malygos.
And I'm actually going to point something out here. Malygos wouldn't be terrible in this deck.
No, he wouldn't.
I mean, we've got how many lightning bolts? 2? 2 lightning bolts, 2 forked lightnings, lava burst.
The forked lightnings, I'm not necessarily sure that's a good thing with Malygos. You want Malygos out to go to the face of your spells and kill. And
well,
can't do that with
let's say the dude has, I'm just spitballing here. Let's say the dude has somehow put a board together of double Boulder Fist Ogre. I play Malygos, and on turn 10, I still have 1 mana. And then I play Forked Lightning, I kill 2 7-health minions with 1 mana.
If.
Yeah, but so the other guy is also somewhat iffy, like where you need to put him next to a rock, next to a flame tongue, or put a rock.
No, he's not iffy. He's still 6 damage for 8 mana with a divine shield and a taunt up. So next turn he protects the hell out of your board.
But I do think that this is not, and a lot of times I would say, oh, this is just a snap pick Alakir. I'm just pointing out this is not a snap pick Alakir here. We do have a lot of cards that are going to synergize really well with Malygos. So, That's something you got to think about.
I
If you snap pick Alakir over Malygos every time, you might be making a mistake.
I agree with everything you just said. However, in the essence of being in the I like consistency. I think Alakir is going to be more consistent, and also Malygos is 9 mana, so if they have any removal at all, they're going to use it on him. So unless you haven't used up both of your lightning bolts, it's hard to get the value out of him if they have removal.
Yeah, he is very hard to remove though. The only removal that easily like when you say removal, you're only really talking about like hexes and sheep and stuff like that. Other than that, you have to use 2 spells to get. That's double lightning or double fireball to get rid of this guy.
Hey man, I've seen so many my X-Nuz this week thanks to Web Spinner. So you
really?
never know. You never know.
All right. But I mean, I don't know. My vote is Malygos, but I'm okay with either pick.
Jocelyn, you are the tiebreaker. Alakir or Malygos? Are you going to just throw a monkey wrench in this and say Stalik?
Well, why not? I mean, come on. It's kind of my role on the show, right?
Yeah.
No, I think I can see the argument for Malygos, but I really think that we're probably going to use a lot of our damage spells before we get him out. So I don't think we're going to get the value out of him that we could potentially if this was a more constructed deck. I'm going to have to go with Garrett.
And I agree. I mean,
Alakir it's
a good point because Alakir is always going to do what Alakir does, and Malygos sometimes won't do crap.
So. Do you think Blizz like heard we were going to do an arena draft on our episode, and they're like, we got to give them a legendary so that they all scream on the podcast?
Pretty much.
I find hilarious. It's our first time doing this. I haven't gotten a legendary in an arena draft in a long time.
Pretty much.
All right. After that, Dust Devil, Murloc Tidehunter, or Acolyte of Pain.
We have a lot of 3s, but I still think we take Acolyte.
Murloc only because the other 2 picks are so bad.
Yeah.
But the Dust Devil has Wind Fury.
He does. He totally does.
And his Overload would activate our Unbound Elementals, but he's such a bad card.
Yeah.
One
and
we could 2 Unbounds, and then you play the Dust Devil, and they just go.
Well, what if you play Dust Devil turn 1? They can't kill it turn 2. You don't play anything turn 2 because you can't play anything turn 2, and you attack twice, and then they still can't kill it on turn 3, and then you play Rockbiter, Flame Tongue Totem.
There you go. Win condition.
What if?
Welcome to magical Christmas land.
Actually, the good thing here though too is we do have ways to make use of the Acolyte with our Flame Tongues and stuff. So.
Yeah, we're just taking the Acolyte here.
After
all of that fun you just had, Acolyte of Pain. All right, we have Totemic Might, which we're not taking. I don't care what the other 2 choices are. Forked Lightning again, or a Cobalt Geomancer. I almost would go just Cobalt Geomancer here.
I think that's the best pick.
Cobalt Geomancer, yeah, I would 100%.
Yeah.
We are lacking 2s, and somebody just said it in chat. You have no 2-drop minions. It's actually fine because Shaman just busts out totems. It's okay.
You drop a totem, or you equip that axe and you kill that Undertaker they just played.
Exactly. There's plenty of options for things to do on turn 2, so you're not too concerned about that. In this case, though, this is guaranteed spell damage for 2. Sometimes you have a spell powered totem already, and then you play this. Now you have double spell power.
This guy's a poor man's Thalnos. So, Cobalt Geomancer, welcome to the club. And our final pick is between an Arcane Golem, a pint-sized summoner, who I don't see very often, so I'm going to read it real quick. It's a 2/2 for 2, and the first minion you play each turn costs 1 mana less.
It used to be 2 mana less, and it was insane.
Yeah, it was. The final pick is the Stampeding Kodo. You guys see this on a lot of constructed decks. The 3 attack, 5 health for 5 mana. Battlecry, destroy a random enemy minion with 2 or less attack. Between these 3 guys, which would you go for? Would we go through the Arcane Golem to have even more early game threats? Would we go with the Kodo for a little more board control? Or do we go for the Summoner so that we can ramp out more minions?
Kodo. Easy pick.
Jocelyn?
Yeah, I think so. I normally go Kodo. I like the Kodo a lot.
I'd go for Kodo as well.
Kodo does a few good things for you. It's a decent body, which we don't have a lot of decent bodies in this deck, so we kind of need some. And it's a card that's a very common 2-for-1 scenario. It'll kill a lot of things that are common in Arena. And and let's say somebody plays an Acolyte of Pain against you. You kill it, they get no cards out of it. Stuff like that is just amazing. So
all right, Kodo it is, and I want to make note that we didn't see a single Fire Elemental or a Lightning Storm.
No Lightning Storms,
entire
no Fire
draft.
Elementals. We did see Alakir the Windlord, so can't be too sad.
No, we can't. I am excited to play this deck.
I think this is a great deck, actually. I think this deck has potential to go all the way.
Yep.
It's going to be a lot of fun for you, if nothing else.
Our curve
You're
is
gonna probably have the board fairly early on. The one thing you're gonna really have to concern yourself with is not overloading too much every turn, because it's gonna be tempting to do so. But I think you're going to win a lot of games with this deck. It's a good deck.
all right. I like the way the curve
You
looks.
should stream it tomorrow.
Well, maybe I will.
I think the people want to see it in action,
Oh,
man.
yeah,
You
they
just
do.
Stream the first game right after the show or something.
Oh yeah, because
After show game.
it won't be like midnight or anything. And,
After show game. That's a great idea.
Yeah, you guys always do after show.
We do
anyway.
after show anyway.
says the
Yeah.
guy who doesn't stick around for the after show.
I do
making plans
another
for
whole
us.
show.
Making plans
And I'm a whole
for us,
hour
and he
later than
doesn't
you,
stick
Garrett. You have
around
no
for it.
excuses.
But you're insane. You stay up at hours that don't make any sense. But anyways, awesome. That's a good looking arena deck. I think it is time now, guys, to move on with the regularly scheduled program and talk some news.
Good news, everyone!
Light news week this week, but if you were like us and watching some Hearthstone over the weekend, then you had quite the treat, because Seat Story Cup 2 took place and completed over the weekend, and it was a wonderful tournament. Also, if you don't want to know who wins, you should probably run away now. Already gone. Congratulations to Savitz, who blew the roof off the place with a rogue deck unlike any other that we'll be talking about a lot in our strategy segment coming up just next. But we all watched this tournament over the weekend, right? What'd you guys think?
Oh yeah, no, it was great. It was really fun. A
So
lot of good
exciting.
players. Really well done with the casting. The production was all really good. There was very few hiccups and things like the audio and the stream quality and stuff. So the first one was great, and this one was like even better. So good format, good everything, good all around stuff, and good gameplay as well.
Yeah, it was good.
And I was happy to see Savitz win, because
Yeah.
obviously we're fans of his.
Well, he won our tournament, so
He did. He did
you
win-
have
win
to
our
root for
tournament.
the guy.
Yeah.
You have to. You can't.
Yeah.
It's the only option at this point. But yeah, he made a Malygos Miracle Rogue deck, if you guys missed it. So we had 7 damage backstab, 6 damage fan knives. Like it was ridiculous. He also had a really interesting shaman deck that had double doom hammers and double lava bursts, and it was undefeated for the first 10 games it was in.
Yeah, there was a few. I think actually he wasn't the only one running that exact same deck. There was a few people who were, I guess, kind of net decked to this specific shaman deck that was just really bursty. And shaman deck kind of does well with keeping the board and being able to throw taunts up at just the right times, and then the potential to just suddenly kill you from like 20 damage. So it's a good, especially in tournaments. It's really good. In constructed right now, if you're playing on the ladder, it might not be as strong, but in tournaments where a lot of people are playing control, it does the control thing really, really well.
Yeah. I actually don't have 2 doom hammers, so I've been sitting there. I'm like, do I want to craft another one and try this deck out?
I know. I don't either. I actually I had a second one at one point. I dusted it because I was like, I'm never gonna run 2.
Me too. I went into some legendary. I don't remember which at this point, but it may have been my Thalnos, because it was a long time ago when I had 2 doom hammers. But
I've never tried the double Doomhammer deck. It's the thing about it is it's not necessarily because you want to play 2 Doomhammers throughout the course of a game. It's really just so that you always get a Doomhammer at some point, because it's your win condition essentially.
Right.
So.
Right. So, anyways, it's really good. All the VODs are up. There's multiple links all over the place. Team Liquid, Hearthhead, Hearthpwn, they've all got it. So go check it out if you missed it. It was a really good tournament. We're going to talk about this Malygos Miracle Rogue deck just here in a second.
Yes, we are.
But before we do that, Ben Brode spoke up about currencies on Twitter this week. He was asked if he could think of any downside to keeping gold as a universal currency, but changing dust to be expansion specific, which is a point that we've talked about on the show a couple times. And all he had to say was lots of currencies can make things more complicated, which makes me think our theory of multiple dusts is debunked.
Yeah, I mean, we had talked about it briefly as an idea, but I really don't think that we should ever go down that road with this game, because And you see WoW is going away from it, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They used to have all these different you'd get, this from this raid, and you get this one from this raid, and which tokens do I use for this, which ones do I use for
That
this.
being said, enchanting, which is where the dust comes from, is still exactly the same. There's a bunch of
Well,
different
no, I'm not even
dusts,
talking about
but-
that. I'm talking about the raid tokens that you used. You turned them in to
Yes.
get gear.
Yes, they're-
they used to have one for like every level and stuff, and
Yeah,
it was just insane.
Raid tokens gone.
Yeah, gone. Yeah, now you just valor and justice, and I think even now that's gone. I don't even think they use
Valor's
it.
definitely gone.
Yeah,
I'll
they're
tell you
using
what's
now.
gone.
They're
Justice
just
is
using
gone.
the coins now or whatever, right? So just to upgrade your gear.
Can
So-
I make a confession real quick? I'll tell you
Sure.
what's really gone is my free freaking time right now because
Yeah.
of Blizzard. Damn it! I had finally gotten away from WoW a little bit. Like I was like, all right, I don't need to play it as much. And then the stupid awesome patch came out. So now I'm playing WoW a bunch. Heroes is better than ever, and Hearthstone is still the amazing badass card game that it's always been. So my social life hates you, Blizzard.
I played a lot of WoW yesterday, and I loved it.
All
It
three
was
of us
fun.
played a lot of WoW this weekend.
Yeah.
I'm gonna thank Saban and Corlin because I killed heroic douchebag yesterday.
What? Who are you talking about?
Garrosh.
Garrosh. Okay, there you go.
Heroic douchebag.
Yeah.
I killed him. I got the bind on account weapon, the bow and stuff. And
Oh,
yeah.
nice. The level 90 to 100 heirloom?
Yeah,
weapon?
it's like what is it? Like a 6 something eye level. It's crazy. It's insane. So, and it's huge. It from my entire orc body is as tall as it.
All right, awesome. Well,
it's
also,
awesome.
just hey, shout out to all you guys that hate all the Magic talk, because here's some World of Warcraft talk. So eat it.
Guess what? We talk about other games because we all play other games. That's just how that
No.
works.
Exactly. We thought we'd take a break from it and make you all angry with a different game this week. Let's talk some strategy, guys, because Dills, I want you to break this deck down.
Hit it very hard.
Wanna blow something up? Time to pay!
Savitz's Malygos Miracle Rogue deck, or as people have affectionately begun calling it, Malygod.
Yeah,
Best
it's been
deck
called
name ever.
Malygod for a while, but it's a good deck, and it's gone through a lot of iterations. It actually got somebody to rank 1, I think, in the Asian servers before anybody else was really playing it heavily, and I think that's when it kind of rose to prominence. But it's an awesome deck, man. It's really fun. It's hard to play, but very powerful. So, and now, of course, with Leroy being 5 mana, meaning you can't just bounce Leroy over and over again and do a crap ton of damage. This is a really, really good finishing card, and you can do things like Malygos Sinister Strike for 8, Prep Eviscerate for 9 more, and you just do 17 damage in one turn without you don't care about taunts, don't care about anything. Just all of it goes right past. So. It's an insanely fun deck to play, and I'll just quickly talk about the actual deck itself. Let me pull it up. There's a couple things that are interesting about this. If you're used to Miracle Rogue, it runs very similar to what Miracle Rogue does, and essentially what that means is kind of clear the board, play Auctioneer, go nuts, tons of low cost spells, all that stuff, and then you just cycle your deck at that point. There's a couple things you're going to notice about this deck that aren't in the ones that used to be the very popular version. There's no Shadow Steps because you're not Shadow Stepping Leroy. And sometimes you would Shadow Step things like SI7 agents and stuff like that. But or if you need healing, you would Shadow Step Earthen Ring Farseers. But no Shadow Steps at all. Don't need those.
But I want to shadow step my Malygos for
No,
no
you
reason.
don't really want to. The other thing you're going to notice is there's double Fan of Knives. A lot of times you would run just one Fan of Knives because it was a card that essentially was there just to cycle, and it was just another way to cycle. So a lot of times you would see people just Fan of Knives into an empty board because they just needed to cycle the card.
Yeah.
And you still do that a lot, but now you
Oh.
have double Fan of Knives because you also have the ability to prep Fan of Knives with a Malygos on board and do 6 damage to the board.
6 damage. You clear the board probably
Yep.
of whatever is on there and draw a card.
Yep.
What
and
the
draw a
hell?
card. I just played a game actually, and Josh, she can back me up. She saw this happen. I was playing a game. I was clearly winning, and then I disconnect from the game. Right?
Oh no.
And I'm so sad. I'm so sad right now. And the druid keeps throwing crap on the board. Keeps throwing crap on the board. I come back. I've missed. I think it was 2 or 3 turns. I've missed.
It was 3, I think.
It was 3. Okay, so then I'm on 9 mana, and I look at what I drew, and I drew into Malygos and Prep, and I already had Fan of Knives, and I just Malygos, Prep, Fan of Knives, killed his whole board, and then and then concealed it, and then the next turn did double Sinister Strike and just killed him. So I mean, I didn't play 3 turns, and I still won a game against the Druid. So that's
you forgot about all the BM.
Oh, and then I BM'd him like crazy. Yeah, I
which
deadly poison and SI7'd my own face, and
which as much as
SI7'd your own face, and then said, "Oops, that was a mistake."
That's how you got to do it.
Which, as much as we kind of don't like that here on the show, and we always highlight crazy game stories where people get the one up on the person who is doing the BMing. When you miss 3 turns and you have a way to win, if there's not an excuse to have a little fun at a stranger's expense, I guess I'll let it slide.
Yeah, I mean, in this case,
slide,
the fact that I had missed 3 turns and he continued to play stuff when he knew I was disconnected just was like, yeah, you kind of deserve this now. And not because I wouldn't do the same, but because it's just hilarious to me that I was actually able to pull it off. Anyway, so the other thing that's interesting, and someone just pointed out, there's only 1 Blade Flurry, and you would think that you would run 2 in a deck like this with all the spell damage. But the fact is that oftentimes if you have an extra one, you don't necessarily want to get rid of your weapons so much because you do actually have an Assassin's Blade. So if you have 2 in your hand, you can really only ever use 1 effectively, and then the other one you're using on a 1 damage dagger a lot of times. So just 1 is enough, and I found that it's pretty good. And if you had 2, you might not have room for, say, the single Earthen Ring Farseer, which is actually really, really nice to have. There's a lot of times where you're playing, say, a Druid, and you need to get above 14 health because you know the combo is imminent. And if you didn't have something like Earthen Ring Farseer, you just might lose the game. So then, of course, it's got double Auctioneer, double Azure Drake, and Lotheb and Malygos kind of finishes out the curve. And, you play it early on almost exactly the same way you play any Miracle Rogue. You just try to keep the board as clear as possible. You start really slow. You're just daggering up. You're doing things like backstab plus dagger or deadly poison creatures off and just kind of waiting and biding your time. And around turn 6 or 7, you start to ramp things up with your preparations. And I would point out, though, that this is probably more of a tournament deck than a ladder deck because it is a fairly slow deck. It's going to take a long time to do your wins. You don't really win before turn 9 or 10,
Right.
But that being said, right now on the ladder, there's a lot of control. And this deck does very well against control decks. So I don't really see any problem. Like, otherwise, what are you going to play? You're going to play Hunter, you're going to play Zoo, or some sort of aggro, right? I feel like this deck is going to win a lot, and that's going to get you the win streaks, and that's going to get you consistently up the ladder. So it's tricky, and it takes some thought because a lot of times there's 3 different options in every turn, and so that's a little bit tricky. But once you kind of get into the swing of things, it's super satisfying. It's one of the funnest decks I've played.
I want to try this deck in the worst way. I do not have a Malygos.
Ooh.
But I have 1,600 dust, and I haven't been sure what to spend it on. I'm just like, I don't have. I've been really wanting the Druid's Legendary. Can't remember the name of it.
Cenarius.
Cenarius. Thank you, Jocelyn. I knew you would know the keeper of the lore.
Yeah.
On the show. Yeah, that's the one. I'm just like, I really would like that. I would really like a Harrison Jones, which I don't have yet. And now this deck comes along, and I'm like, I thought I knew things. I thought there were constants in the world of Hearthstone. I thought that I believed that. Well, at least I would never really miss not having a Malygos.
Yeah.
And then this deck comes along. It's like, oh no, actually, you want one because this looks like a fun deck to play.
It's super fun, and of course, with the Leroy nerf, it's Miracle Rogue isn't necessarily dead. There's a lot of people still playing Miracle. They're just figuring out different ways to play it. So, yeah, I encourage you guys out there, if you do have the cards to play this deck, just give it a shot. And it's one of the most satisfying ways to kill your opponent ever. When you put down Malygos You Sinister Strike, then you prep an Abyss or something like that. It's really, really fun. There's some people making comments in the chat that I want to address. Someone was saying that most people were playing 2 Blade Flurries, but I kind of think that even if they were, this might just be the evolution of this deck to only go down to 1, because if you wanted to play one with Malygos on board, oftentimes you would have to burn a prep to do it. And yeah, it gets you face damage, but I just feel like when you use the preps in those cases, you're honestly most of the time prepping to kill face with Sinister Strikes or Eviscerates. And the other thing I was going to say was, the sap timing. Somebody said sap timing is less important than in Leroy Miracle. And that's a very good point, because previously you had to time your saps to get the taunt out of the way the turn you were going to kill them. Now you just use sap just to gain tempo, essentially, like just to force them to play a 6 mana cost card again, and not necessarily to get taunts out of the way. It's just to bide your time until you can get to your Malygos turn. Because the Malygos turn doesn't give a crap about your taunts. Put your Sledge Belchers out there, I don't care. So, good points made by the chat room there.
All right, awesome. Well, feel free to send your stories in with this deck next week, tacpodcast@gmail.com. Speaking of which, let's take some stories right now.
Is the whole world gone crazy?
You're in trouble now.
You got it!
Catch the chicken. You can send your
Where's that chicken going? Gotta get it.
You can send your crazy game stories to tacpodcast@gmail.com. Our first one this week comes to us from Andrew is Live, who writes, Web spinners all around. Well, that's the title. He says, so you guys mentioned in one of your podcasts recently how you wished Blizzard would let us make our own rules in private matches, including a game with all web spinners. I remembered how fun that game was and went to solo to play it. He's talking about the Hunter challenge in Naxxramas. He said the first web spinner was a King Crush. I thought that would be the end of the story, but it only got funnier from there. My second was an Angry Chicken, and soon after that, I got King Mukla. I had a few minions on board and hit a Spore, because this match is against Lotheb, and buffed all my minions. Lotheb came back and faceless manipulated my buffed King Mukla before almost taking it out. He also ended up using the bananas he got on one of his spores, which was just plain ridiculous. Yeah. Needless to say, it was a silly, silly match. I got to play King Crush at the very end to take him out. Very satisfying. Oh, that's delightful. I'm also glad that we got a crazy game story that wasn't about PvP.
Well, and that was the thing. I saw this one and I was just like, oh man, this is awesome, because I don't think we actually got any crazy game stories out of Nax. So this is the first one. So
I wouldn't be surprised if there are a few. We just get so many crazy game stories.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I try to read them all, but
yeah. Yeah, you guys, man, you guys love telling us your stories.
Keep it coming.
Anyway, Dills, you want to take the next one?
Sure. This is from Marcus Maximi from The Good, the Bad, and the Downright Evil. Says, I was on my pseudo Zoolock playing a priest control deck. I had a couple of Juggalos out. Nice. He knows what the correct name of the Juggalo is. A couple of Juggalos, a Blood Imp, a Void Walker, and something else. He played Shadow Madness against one of my Juggalos and then gave it Power Overwhelming, boosting it to a 7/6, then smacked my Void Walker in the face with it. He ended turn expecting it to die, except it returned to my deck and or my side of the board, and still didn't die. What just happened? Did it return to me before the Power Overwhelming kicked in and missed its death as it was in transit at the time? Thanks for the show. Never miss an episode. Jocelyn for Chief Accountant Prime Minister Thing of Canada. So you got one vote, Jocelyn. Awesome.
Yay!
That's a lot of titles.
Yeah. So this is actually kind of a funny thing that happens when minions trade sides of the board. If you read the text of Power Overwhelming, it says, buff it 4/4, and then at the end of its turn, it dies a horrible death. You get a little flavor text there. But what happens is it goes back to your side of the board, and it now is going to die at the end of your turn, which has not happened yet.
It depends the order you play them in. If he had done the Power Overwhelming before Shadow Madness, then the Power Overwhelming would have resolved first, and it would have died before.
You can't do that, though, because Power Overwhelming only goes on your own minions.
Oh, right.
You can't put it on another guy's minions. Yeah.
But still, that's why because they resolve in the order that they're played.
Mm. Well, there's another thing too where people have done. Kalento actually did this recently in a tournament where somebody played a Doomsayer and he took it with a Cabal Shadow Priest And what essentially happens is the or the Doomsayer comes to his side of the board now, and it dies at the end of the turn, so it stayed alive. And then now the other guy is in the awkward situation where he can't play minions. And the whole idea of playing a Doomsayer is to make it so you can't play any minions on your turn because they will all die at the end of the turn. So he essentially did, and he actually had minions on the board. It was kind of a questionable play, but I think in the end it was actually correct because he stopped the other guy from playing minions. So you would think that it would die anyway at the end, so you would steal it and then they would just die right then. But no, it waits a whole nother turn.
Very interesting. Gotta love that science, man. Gotta love it. Well, thanks
Before we move on, the chat room just reminded me that, Dills, we have to tell our crazy game story, because we were just hanging out and we were playing Hearthstone and we were both playing on the ladder and we're talking on Skype and Dills is streaming.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And we're sitting there and we were both at the same rank on the ladder. So we're sitting there and Dills is like, okay, we're going to queue up together and we're going to try to get each other. And so
you were trying to snipe me. I was just playing.
I don't think so. I don't know. That's not how I
trying
remember
to
it.
snipe me. Yeah.
So, did it work? Did you get each other?
We did. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
But we tried it, I think, 3 or 4 times, and then it finally worked when we, rather than just going 3, 2, 1, we went 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, Q.
Q.
That was how it worked. So if anybody's out there trying to do that with their friends, that's what you got to do. 3, 2, 1 alone doesn't work because you can't time it as perfectly. So you need 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, Q.
Okay. that may be the episode title of today's show, possibly.
2, 1, 1, 2, 3, Q.
May just be Malygod. I'm not sure. We'll figure it out. But let's take some emails before we end today's show.
Hello.
Hello, it's me.
Hello.
Just quickly, do you get my message?
Yep.
Oh.
Hello, brother.
He caught it that time. Send your emails to tacpodcast@gmail.com. Our first one tonight comes to us from Metatron, who writes, "Hello, TAC crew. The Hearthstone competitive scene has been a free-for-all lately and feels too unprofessional right now. For example, say a player wins the Bob's Backyard Barbecue Open by destroying all other players there, and people say, wow, he's good. But what does that even mean? Big picture. Not much in my opinion until they can come up with a way to sanction these events. If these events were sanctioned, the results would count towards their overall rating as in other games like Magic the Gathering, even WoW TCG had this. A player's overall rating can be used for invitationals and tournament seeds, buys, etc. They could even bake in how they finish each season on the ladder as part of their overall rating. Also, have everyone's ratings reset every year after the World Championships are over to allow for new faces to come up into the scene. This just seems like the natural progression of a game which goes from a fun hobby to a true competitive scene. I loved listening to the Patreon Hangout show last week when you spoke with Beardy Face from Hearth Center, because the Gosu Gamer site has done a tremendous job tracking all of these backyard barbecue results and mashing them together for an overall player ranking. I think it would be great if they had the support of Blizzard, who could start sanctioning events so we could get a legitimate official rating and ranking system. What are your thoughts on the subject? Been listening since episode 1 and love the show. Go Giants! Since my O's are out.
Oh, okay. Black and orange. We stick together. Black.
Yeah. I'm torn. I'm split on my opinion of this. It works really well for Magic the Gathering. But a few years back, StarCraft 2 went through a kind of a transformation. We still have unofficial StarCraft tournaments, but Blizzard got a lot more involved in StarCraft at one point, and it got a lot messier. And I liked it way better when everyone was doing their own damn thing. And I don't know. Obviously, Wizards of the Coast, who makes Magic, they've got a lot of stuff on their plate. But Magic is their tent pole. Like, that is their big thing. So it makes sense that they would pour everything they've got into, like, you know, I go to my little shop down here, the Dark Side, and play in a tournament, and I'm gaining points towards my Wizards of the Coast ranking. I don't know. Blizzard's got a lot on their plate. I don't see them getting involved down into the deepest, darkest crevice of competitive Hearthstone.
Well, it doesn't have to be Blizzard that does it. I mean, if there was some sort of if there was just some sort of group that took the lead, you know, and said, we are the Hearthstone group. Gosu Gamers has kind of done this a little bit, but they're doing it kind of from the outside. They're not actually, in control. And yeah, the Magic thing works pretty well. And there's some cool stuff with that too. The fact that players can reach like platinum status, and they get airfare and hotels taken care of, so they can go around and play these things. And I would say this though, Hearthstone is way too young to worry about this happening. Like there's just no way that we should expect that this is going to happen right away. It's going to have a growth period, and at some point somebody might step up and do this, and it might be Blizzard, and it might be somebody else. And it would be really cool if it did happen. Just somebody who just collected sponsors and money and doled it out to people who wanted to do independent tournaments. They could kind of do them under the direction and say, we want to do a sanctioned tournament. They contact this body. They say, we want our tournament to be sanctioned. We want the players to, they get points and have rankings outside, because of this tournament. And then that body controls that and decides what that ranking system should be. I would love it if that happened. It would be amazing. But we're talking about a game that we've still not even been a year into since it actually released, and there's not even observer mode, and it's all kind of like we're just a ways away from this ever happening. But it would be very cool when it does, and I hope it does.
Yeah, Jocelyn, what do you think about this?
Oh, pretty much the same thing. I think right now tournaments are mostly just about showing off that Hearthstone can, in fact, be competitive and exciting and can be an esport. I think we're still really far away from any kind of real overall ranking. It'll be really cool if it happens, but I think, we're still pretty far away, and I doubt it'll be Blizzard.
Yeah, you make a good point, Garrett, about Wizards that being their only game that they really care about. So Blizzard would have to have basically Team 5 would have to have some sort of an esports add-on to it that would just handle this version or this aspect
exactly.
of it.
And I do think it would have to be Blizzard, because they're definitely going to do their world championship. And so if you have the big Blizzard tournament that is outside of the sphere of this other big unified ranking system, then it still isn't the perfect thing that this guy is asking for.
Yeah, but I mean, you're talking about, like, we want it to happen. Real people have to step up and say, I'm going to take this on and I'm going to do it. And that's just, who's going to do it? Go ahead. Metatron, you take it. You do it, man. You see it. Like, I don't know. We all want someone to get up and do it, but do we want to be the guy who does it? Probably not.
Yeah.
So, someone's got to do it, and then it'll happen.
Unless they took the same sort of thing where they had all their different like qualifying pools to get into the World Championship, unless they made this overall ranking system one of their qualifying pools. I could see that maybe happening to kind of pull them together at the end of the year sort of thing. I think that might work to make it an outside.
The World Championship isn't even a rankings thing. It's just a really long tournament, The qualifying.
No, but I mean for entry into the tournament, they could use an overall player ranking as part of that.
Yeah.
It's kind of how the WCS works for StarCraft now. There are sanctioned tournaments, but there's plenty of unsanctioned tournaments. But if you play in these sanctioned tournaments and you place well, you get WCS points. And if you are above a certain threshold, come the end of the year, you're getting shipped off the WCS.
Yeah.
And now it works really well. When they first launched it, oh god, that first year, they had some problems, but it works pretty damn well now.
Well, and maybe they've learned from it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's the thing: Hearthstone could take. They could just learn from some of these other people's mistakes, and I feel like it's definitely a game that could handle this. The thing is, you have different formats. Some people are going to run tournaments a little differently than others. It's going to have to be official rules keepers and things like that. It's a little more complicated than just like someone do it. There's a lot that goes in.
Right.
So
no, and I agree. But this is a good email. It's a good thought, and I wouldn't be against it. But
love it if it happened and it would actually work.
I think you hit the nail on the head there, Dills, because it's just very early on in Hearthstone's life. I mean, it hasn't been officially out for a year yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the was that the Gosu Gamer stuff has like RDU and Kalento and like ECOP and stuff at the very top, and I'm sure there's players out there that we have no idea who they are, and they're amazing, and they're 5 times as good as anybody we know of. We just don't know because those guys are getting invited because they kind of at the right time they got known as Hearthstone players, so they're getting invited and they're getting a lot of points. And so he makes a good point by saying Ghost of Gamers is doing the best they can with this, but all these tournaments are like invite, and then a few people qualify, but mostly invite. So those guys are going to win more often, obviously. Mm-hmm. And so to really do something that's totally fair, it would have to be this kind of resetting ranking. People could move their way into it and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that that say we did get this ranking and it was all officiated by Blizzard and whatnot, that there would be a bunch of extra rules and regulations and hoops to jump through if you wanted to hold the tournament. But I like how it is now, where it's very much community driven. This is how Seat Story got started, because originally it started off as Home Story Cup for StarCraft, and actually we've got a new one coming up soon. You know, that it's such a casual idea for a tournament. It makes it really fun and really unique. I don't know. I feel like if you get one entity too involved, that it might, you know, it might stifle a little bit of creativity in the tournament space. Personally,
No, absolutely. That's the issue that could arise is how do you properly assign points to one type of format over another and things like that. All have to be like determined by somebody, and then that might not be fair. People will be pissed, and there's a whole bunch of stuff can get messy with any situation like this. But that's going to happen. I'd still prefer to have it than not have it. So if it did happen, I would be pretty stoked.
Yep. So cool. Well, go ahead and take the next email, Dills.
Sure. Hey guys, recently you guys discussed ways to encourage new and different decks in competition play. Well, there were definitely some good ideas floating around. One easy way to spice things up would be to add a secret ingredient. For example, the way this could work in a tournament, contestants cannot bring any pre-made decks to the competition. 2, 1 hour before each round, the deck building phase begins. 3, to begin the phase, with epic music playing and steam floating around the studio. Garrett, with intense eyes, Italian suit, Tai Chi moves, and eyebrows of thunder, announces that this round the secret card is the Angry Chicken.
That doesn't sound like me at all.
Yeah, or Wisp, Gold Star Footman, Magma Rager, War Golem, etc. The contestants then have 1 hour to build and submit 3 decks that use that round, but each deck must include 2 copies of the secret card. The contestants will be forced to use cards they would not normally consider for tournament play, and we would get to see some creative card use. Thoughts? I think we actually did bring this up, that they did do this at some Magic tournament or something, but that's just kind of for fun. It wasn't an actual competitive thing. But I think it would be kind of fun. I would.
It would be so much fun.
Yeah.
I just don't see this ever taking off as a main format.
I don't think that. I think this would be a side thing at a big tournament where all the players are there already. And
I want to see.
for fun, we have them do this.
I want to see like a new tournament format that could be the contender for a main format.
There is the time they did this at what was the thing called back in the day that they flew out to Germany and did the thing. Then they played, and that's when like the
Fight Night.
Fight Night. Yeah. So remember when they first started doing that, they had one where the players like all built decks together. They like banned and picked, and then they had their classes. Once they had their classes, then they built the decks.
Oh right, but that was the one. Didn't they say that it didn't work as well as they thought because there was a lot of infighting with the players because they all had opinions, they couldn't agree on anything.
But if it was just like if it was a single tournament and it wasn't a team thing, and you just built your own decks, but you didn't know what classes you were going to play until you got there, and then okay, now I'm playing these classes. Now go build your deck. I mean, I could maybe have pre-made decks, but maybe at the time I feel like I'd build something a little different. And there's a building phase. Could be interesting. And I was actually thinking about this because we were talking about doing, tournaments and what format would be good. And I was thinking it would be kind of interesting if you could have the players not just ban classes, but maybe ban cards. And then they build their decks once they all know what the banned cards are.
I talked about this on the Hearth Center show, and it was mentioned that tournaments in the past that have tried to ban cards were told specifically by Blizzard that they're not supposed to be doing that.
Yeah, but who cares? Have to do that.
Because they can tell you to cease and desist.
Whatever.
Now that way is a little bit different than just straight up banning a card, but you very quickly would notice a trend of the same cards being banned over and over, and it would pretty much be accomplishing the same thing that I believe Blizzard does not prefer.
It's because the game is perfectly balanced.
I don't think that's no. They want all of everything that they put in the game to be playable, and I don't think that's an unfair desire.
No, I don't think so either. But I think if I'm running a tournament, I don't think I care if Blizzard tells me I can't do something. Like I mean, I get it, but
well, I'm sure if you were only giving like $20 and a coupon to the
Slurpee
like
store, $20,000, sure.
But if you're doing a significant amount and you're expecting 80,000 viewers, Blizzard's gonna get involved.
No,
as they should.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe they should. Maybe they shouldn't. Maybe they should just let you play the game how you want to play the game too. Like if I'm running a pool tournament, I'm giving around $50,000, and like I decide I want to do it as 9-ball, but bank the 9, and then the BCA comes in and says you can't bank the 9. That's not 9-ball, and I'm like, but I'm giving the $50,000, so I'm gonna do what I want to do. Like I just
understand.
Yeah, you're taking the thing they made, but I don't see why you can't then like play it the way like you want to see it played when you're ponying up the cash. So I disagree a little bit with the big company coming in and saying no, it must be played the way I like it played. I want people to be able to do whatever they want and have fun.
Agreed. I don't disagree with that, but it's just, the fact remains that they might get involved.
Yeah, no, I know, but I don't think they should. I disagree with getting involved unless someone's like, this is the Hearthstone tournament because Hearthstone's stupid. So we're and we're gonna make a mockery of Hearthstone. Then it's like, all right, guys, you can't use our thing to do that. But if it's just for funzy, like, hey, we banned Ragnaros, so no, there's not going to be any lucky Ragnaros hits to determine this tournament. Then yeah, why not? Why not let people do that?
Fair enough.
It could be interesting to watch. It could be interesting to play. It just could be fun for everybody.
By the way, your pool analogy there, I now know how everyone feels that doesn't know a damn thing about Magic.
Right.
I don't understand a friggin' thing that you just said.
You don't know what banking a ball is in pool?
Nope. Unless it involves playing pool inside of a bank. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh my god. Someone doesn't spend very much time in bars.
I don't.
I don't remember the last time I was in a bar with a pool table.
There is a total.
What? I don't go to a bar unless it has a pool table.
There's a Total Wine very close to my house where I can get really good beers for like a fourth the cost they would be at a bar. So I've just started drinking from home.
But but then okay, I want to see a tournament where it's random decks or the arena stuff or whatever. Like it's fun tournaments, different types of tournaments.
I think the only thing
let the people play.
The only thing that has seemed to cause issue with Blizzard is banning cards. They obviously don't have an issue with the arena one. I don't think they'd have an issue with random decks. I think the community might have an issue with random decks because I think after maybe like 7 games, the novelty would wear off and you're just like, these decks just suck. Like the one dude just got a significantly worse deck than the other guy. It's just a blowout. But
yeah, no, that's why that doesn't really work. But,
right. It's fun with us. Like every now and then, like, dude, I just don't want to think. Random deck, let's go. Okay. Yeah. And then we just get to laugh and drink our beer. But
it's not really tournament material.
You don't want it to come down to that. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So.
But I mean,
I'm so good at them.
You can't Blizzard has to understand you can't ever perfectly balance a game. It's just never going to be absolutely perfect. And if the community wants to find out ways to do the balancing on their own, I don't feel like you should come down on them for that. I feel like you should support that.
I personally don't like the card banning. To me, I look at it like, well, everyone was really pissed off at like stutter step stemmed Marines in StarCraft a long time ago. What if we just said, well, you can't research stim? Like, no, screw you. It's in the game. I'm going to play it. Like, I don't know. I personally just don't like it, but
no, yeah, absolutely. But
I'm still a fan of learn how to play around it.
Agreed.
Yeah, no, and I agree with that too. But I think I just don't like the idea of like if you personally don't like it, that's fine. But somebody might personally like it, and we're just not going to let them do what they personally like.
And an argument could be made.
Like, that doesn't work either.
An argument could be made that it takes away from Blizzard seeing results and being able to make their game better. Because what if it catches on? What if every damn tournament starts doing it? What if DreamHack starts implementing a ban?
But I don't foresee that happening. And I think Blizzard still has plenty of information.
I think you underestimate the fire that the forums were wielding back in early Leroy days.
I remember, Leroy and Nat Pagel and Tink Master and all that stuff. I remember all that. But I also just think we're playing a game here, people. Do we really have to be so damn serious about it? Like, we can't just have some fun.
Yes.
Can't let people decide what they want to do when they put money up. I don't know. I don't like that.
Yeah. I don't like the man stepping in, but I also don't like bans. So
yeah, I'm very anti man stepping in. Yeah.
I don't like the man stepping in either, but I just
step off, man.
My thing is I don't like bans. I'm not a big fan. But
yeah, but then you just don't watch the tournament.
It's true. Vote with your eyes. Vote with your eyeballs. Although at the moment,
vote with your view.
At the moment,
or you could go in there and just be like, all these casters are Fs and blah blah blah. This whole thing is stupid.
That's
What
why
I'm talking about worst casters ever.
That's not what I do. But this is the same reason I don't watch the arena tournament, because I'm like, well, it's not real arena. I don't care.
Yeah, sure.
I'd rather watch, just a constructing tournament. But the issue I'm having right now is I don't like bans, and right now we have deck bans in basically every tournament going on right now. So I can't vote with my eyes. It's either if I don't like bans, I don't have a tournament to watch because they're all banning every single one of them. So.
Yeah, it's very true. And I mean, but I don't see what the big deal is. Like if it's cards or decks, it's still the same. Still banning. Still taking the game and like turning things off.
That's a very good point.
That's
why I want to do away with all of it.
Yeah, that's fine too. I just personally think like just stay out of the whatever. Just let people do how they want to do it. Let them do it how they want to do it.
I want to be the champion of the spectators.
No one's gonna die because they banned Ragnaros in the tournament. It's fine. Let's concentrate on like curing Ebola now. Okay, we can move on from worrying about banning things in tournaments.
I'm gonna start banning people that mention Ebola in the chat room because I'm so sick of hearing about Ebola.
Oh, it's about to happen because I brought it up. Sorry about that.
Jocelyn, please get us out of this rut and take the next email.
Absolutely. This one comes to us from Dane M. He says, "Greeting, young bucks," which I think is a new one.
Greetings.
I expecting young Clucks, but all right, I'll take
nope,
that.
went with Bucks.
You.
Clucks, I think, would have been better.
Greetings, I'm assuming not young. If he's referring to us as young, I can only assume that he is not. Also, Mick Beard is his other moniker, so...
I'm not there yet, Garrett. Stop skipping ahead. Jeez. He says, "I hate playing against secrets, and I feel like I'm required to play Hunter when I start seeing too many decks that use them. I can play around them, but currently only Flare is the cure-all for this headache. At what point will cards be added for other classes that have a way to directly deal with secrets? Will it take more secrets, more classes with secrets, or do you think it's already in the works? Personally, I'd like a minion that prevents secrets from triggering while it was in play, as in a persistent aura," which I know what that means now. "I'd love to hear your thoughts on the future of secrets. Also, I'll take on Dilstradamus. Warriors will get retaliation and intervene as secrets one day. Thanks for the great show. All proud to be a patron, Mick Beard." See, you totally spoiled the end of the email there.
Oh, I can't think of how retaliation works because I don't remember what retaliation does, but I already know exactly how intervene would work. And you, sir, are a genius. Why have I not thought of this before?
Do you play a warrior in WoW at all?
I used to. My first tank was a warrior. I swapped to a paladin.
I don't remember retaliation either. I always thought that they would get something like spell reflect.
That too.
Yeah. Where you cast a spell and
could you imagine that right now with the Malygod decks going around?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Just like
so good.
An Eviscerate comes in. Oh, it's a spell reflect, and the casters like jump up out of their chairs.
I mean, the thing is, I know that it's a bit like Eye for an Eye, but not quite because it's like a counter spell, but instead of just countering it, it actually sends it right back. You're
not taking the damage.
Not only are you nullifying the card, you're making it actually hurt them. They just spent a card to hurt themselves.
An Eye for an Eye, you actually take the damage and then give the damage back as well.
Right.
This would be, no, I don't even take the damage, I reflect it. So, yeah, it's not Eye for an Eye either.
And besides, why are we so down on Eye for an Eye?
Because it's terrible.
It's a bad card.
But yeah, no, I mean, I could see more classes getting secrets. I think it would make sense to kind of like give every class secrets or no class secrets in the end, but I don't know if that's going to happen either. But yeah, I would like to see a neutral minion with a battle cry that deals with secrets, because if it gets out of control, there's only one class that can deal with it, and that's kind of weird.
I love persistent auras, man. More persistent auras. I mean, we kind of have them now with your any of your like adjacent minion effects work very similar to that. I'd love to see something like that. I mean, I'd like it as it is. I'd like having to play around secrets, and the kind of the notch up on the skill level that takes.
Yeah, I know they're frustrated for people, but the fact is they add a lot of depth to a game that might not have as much depth without them at all. So,
right.
I like the idea of secrets, yeah. And I really like the idea of a minion. I think that's a great idea. I want to see it now.
Yeah, not to where it like just destroys their secret like
no, just prevents them from popping.
So they have to deal with this minion before their secrets are worth a damn anymore. And I kind of like that. I mean,
which kind of it buys you a turn, because you can throw down that minion and then you no longer have to worry about triggering the secrets until it goes back to your opponent again. and then the
Or
secrets
Tiggering.
can't go off because it's his turn anyway, and then he has to deal with the minion. So I think it's really cool.
I think it should be one of those faceless dudes from like the last wing of Ulduar. I mean, we know we have the faceless manipulator, but like another one of those because they're all about like confusion and madness. So you put one of those out and just has this aura that nullifies secrets. That'd be cool.
Well, we have that secret keeper right now, which is basically useless. I mean, I guess there's a couple decks that have tried using it out, but I don't think it's ever worked out as well as it could. But you could have it be like, no, I keep your secret until I go
The
away.
original Yangwu Hunter deck used it to great effect.
It was fine, but the deck wasn't good because of it,
Yeah. Which, by the way, we didn't congratulate Mr. Yang Wu for his his new baby boy
Baby
Tavin.
Wu.
Congratulations. The picture he posted, his son is already sporting some Blizzard swag. It was quite adorable.
Mm-hmm.
So also,
He was a very, very cute kid.
where do you buy a Blizzard baby blanket? I wasn't aware this was a thing. Not that I'm planning on having a child anytime soon, but I'll get one for the Chihuahua.
Oh God, you are not allowed to get any more Chihuahua accessories.
I have never bought any. It's all Katie. It's all her. I am allowed to buy one thing for my dog. It's okay. It's allowed. So, anyway, some good emails this week. These were fun. I enjoyed these. Thought-provoking, kind of fun. Good all around. That first one from Metatron, that is not easy to say, threw Dills and I into a spiral of debate that from whence there was no return.
I'm sure we'll get an email about how we hate each other now. That's incoming.
I know.
It's being typed as we speak.
So, anywho, I think that brings us to the end of the show.
Right on time.
Looking good?
That's it.
Alrighty. Well, as always, want to thank those of you who are backing us over at patreon.com/TAC. Thank you guys very much for subscribing to The Angry Chicken. We really appreciate it. This week I wanted to thank Stephen S., Andrew, James G., Dean, and Philip. Thank you all very much. And also those of you who are leaving us reviews in iTunes. Last week we said we caught up, and you guys showered us with more reviews, so we're no longer caught up, so thank you. So this week I wanted to thank The Most Spokey, who said we are the most furious of owls.
Excellent.
Real Soccer 3HB3 for Science, who also wrote Battle Cry Win, and Jermis the Word. Thank you all for your iTunes reviews. Jocelyn, do we have anyone from Canada this week?
We do. We got a 5-star review from Haplo Draco from Canada. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you very much. The Angry Chicken, as always, is the production of amove.tv and frogpants.com. Our email is tacpodcast@gmail.com. You can catch all of our past live shows, like last week's anniversary episode where we dressed up in suit and tie and gown.
Yes, I did not have a tie.
And looked
Sorry,
quite-
guys.
quite-
Drop the ball.
We all look quite dashing, if I do say so myself. Or you can watch the visual of us doing our arena draft today over at youtube.com/StarcastShow. You can get the Angry Chicken t-shirt over on slashloot.com. Our Twitter account is @TAC Podcast, and we record the live show every Monday night at 10 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/amovetv. Also check out Brian Griffith, the musician who made our intro music, over at briangriffithmusic.com. Dills, where can folks find you when you're not the the most furious of fowls?
You can find me on the Instance every Friday, and be lots to talk about this week, but I might be really tired because it sounds like I have to do Extra Life stuff at 2 a.m. at Folsom Street Foundry. I said a yes, and I didn't realize I was going to be on at 2 a.m., but it's fine. I suck it up. We'll do my part for Extra Life, and so check that out. I think we'll be playing Hearthstone in the Foundry, and be doing like some arena or something like that. And then you can find me in the chat after this, hoping Garrett plays that Shaman deck.
Oh, thanks, Dills. Thanks so much. I love people, just volunteering me to do stuff live in front of an audience where I look like a jerk if I say no.
You just got to play one game, man.
Yeah, we'll play one game, Garrett. It'll be great.
Yeah. It's not like you.
And then if you win, you just play one more game, and then
I didn't sleep last night. Jocelyn, where can folks find you when you're not being a jerk?
I'm not always a jerk. You make it sound like I'm a jerk. Come on. You can find me on Twitter at GISGamer. We have Extra Life this weekend on Saturday, which I'm super stoked about. We have a really cool promotion actually going on right now with Slashloot. So if you use the code ExtraLife2014, you get $3 off a t-shirt and $5 gets donated to our Extra Life Drive. So that works on the Gamers In t-shirt, the Torn Think Tank t-shirt, the Azeroth Roundtable t-shirt, and Zombies Ate My Podcast. So if you
What?
guys have been looking to pick up shirts,
Not on the
then-
Angry Chicken shirt?
Do you want it to work on the Angry Chicken shirt?
Sure, do it.
All right, I'll make sure that it works on the Angry Chicken
Why the
t-shirt.
hell aren't you doing it for your show?
Well, because it's not just my show.
Well,
Okay,
there.
and it works on the Angry Chicken t-shirt probably tomorrow.
Yeah. All right.
Dills and I say do it.
All right. So again, that's Extra Life 2014 on slashloot.com. So go check it out.
Awesome. Also, spell out slash. You have to spell out slash.
Oh, yeah, spell it
Yeah,
slash.
you can't just type in a slash or use a picture of slash. I can be found on Twitter at Garrett Art. There's 2 R's and 2 T's in Garrett. You will not find me if you do not use those. You can also head over to nomoonart.com for my graphic design portfolio. There's also a form over there to contact me if you need a freelance graphic designer, as well as on Into the Nexus, the Heroes of the Storm podcast with Kyle Ferguson, my partner in crime from ye old StarCast days. I'd also like to recommend this past week's episode of A Move Radio, where we talked about just all the inside baseball crap we could possibly think of about podcasting. How we met, how to do it, what our year is, all the questions we get all the time. We decided to do a whole episode about it, and I'll be linking to it from now on whenever I get questions about podcasts.
I can't wait to listen to that, dude. That's going to be so good.
Yeah. The story about how we met's really boring. He fell asleep on my floor. That's how I met him. So it's not a lie. So hear all about that and more over on A Move Radio. That would have been episode 39, I believe. But all that can be found on amove.tv, so go check that out. Check out our sponsors, doghousesystems.com. The code to use is TAC, and it'll get you double memory on your next Doghouse Systems gaming rig free of charge, and it'll directly support the show in the process when that code's used, so go check it out. There's an Angry Chicken Special Edition rig over there also while you're shopping around, so take a look at that. We thank them for their support. We thank you all for listening, and until next week, job's done.
Job's done.
Job's done.
Yes. Go Giants.